What we talking about today? Today we're talking about communication. How well do you communicate? So stay tuned to communication. I'm going to be going over some tips, so you want to listen to the whole video. Here it comes. Good morning. So today we're going to talk about, but before I get started, my name is Maya G. It's Maya G, the good on YouTube. I am an entrepreneur living in South Florida. The experiences that you go through with me are conversation with my clients, with myself, life experiences, and the journey that we must go through to become a better version of ourselves. Having said that, that was a mouthful. Having said that, my message is probably not as, as gentle as most would want it, but I speak from a place of truth, and I try to keep it 100 as best as I can. Your comments, feedbacks are always welcome. If you have any questions or comments, you don't want to post it, just go ahead and send it to me, and I'll be sure to respond to you at my earliest. All right, having said that, today we're going to talk about communication. That question came to me through the DM about addressing communication, and there's 4 points that I want to cover about communication, and and I might even throw a bonus in there as we're going through. So you want to make sure you watch the video all the way through so we can get to the bonus at the end. See, with communication, you're thinking about you talking to a person and letting them know how you feel about a certain topic, and you're wanting to get feedback from them, and depending who it is, if it's a family member, if it's a partner, you're trying to convey to them something that might be going on with you, and you want their feedback, and you want to make sure that they receive the information. And if we're communicating on the essence of trying to resolve a problem, or we're trying to have a discussion, or we're trying to have an understanding. And there's different types of communication. So I'm going to go through those as well. For example, you could be having a conversation about religion to somebody who's very religious, but you're not religious. You might be spiritual, but you're not religious. When you're talking to people about their own personal belief and you're communicating with them, whatever the subject matter is, one, you want to make sure that you are as sensitive to them, their belief, as you would want them to be to yours. So you don't want to be judgmental, because the minute people feel like you're being judgmental or you're being aggressive or disrespectful, they stop listening and they're just waiting. If you're lucky, they are just waiting once you stop talking so they can fire back. So that's very, very important when you're communicating people. You want to make sure that you have an understanding of what their values and belief system is. And when you are addressing it, if it's something that you feel that needs to be corrected, you want to address it with as much finesse as possible. Because if you're respectful on how you're addressing whatever the concern is that may be going around their values, or how they handle things, or how they how they scream, or how they yell, how aggressive do they get, how sensitive they get. If you're sensitive on how you address them, you'll get better results. So let's go over that one again. That's one. When you are addressing anyone in the communication, so you're communicating with them anything, a correction that needs to be done, something having to do with values, belief system, anything. When you're communicating with people, you always want to follow this step. Step number 1, validate their belief system, even if it's not yours. Okay? 2, when a subject is really important to you and you feel like it needs to be discussed, you want to make sure that the person you're planning to communicate with is actually in a good mood. Me personally, I feel like if I have to deal with a sensitive matter, like it's really, really sensitive, depending on who I'm having the conversation with, if I'm having it with my mom or my dad or my parent, usually, I kind of sort of, start talking to them about what they have going on. and then kind of like wiggle my way in and going towards what I really want to talk about, that's, again, it goes to who that person is. If it's a lover and it's a really sensitive topic, I always recommend that you come out of your comfort zone. So if you're always, at home, then you probably want to go outside or go for a walk or go on the beach. Don't try to do it at dinner. Don't try to do it while you're drinking. 2 times I recommend to talk to a partner. I would say talk to them after being intimate, where we're vulnerable, we're open, and we can talk. If it's a really serious things that need attention, and if you're gonna do it after intimacy, you want to make sure that intimacy was actually intimacy. It wasn't just a quickie, okay? Very, very important. On step number 2, you want to make sure that you bring them out into their comfort zone, out of the comfort zone for both of you guys, but somewhere relaxing, outdoor. If it's a parent, maybe dinner will work, or, something that they enjoy doing. But a lover, I would say, either after intimacy, and I mean real intimacy, by the water, nature, outside, walking, talking, just in a space where both parties can feel vulnerable and a conversation can happen. So that was step number 2. Step number 3, now, which is probably the most important step of all of them. Step number 3 is very important because in communication, it's a 2-way thing, right? I speak, you listen, you speak, I listen. Now, again, like I said in step number 1, our values may be different. Our religion practices may be different. However, if we are involved with each other on any level, whether it be family, friends, co-workers, or lovers, if we have a relationship with one another and we are respecting each other's values, religion, beliefs, and we're communicating with respect, and step number 3, we're going to listen with respect. We're not going to interrupt with respect. So we're going to listen. So as we're listening, there's a few things happening with listening, because you could be hearing and not listening. Listening is to make sure that you have a complete understanding of what they are saying to you. And if you're not sure, do not assume anything. Even if your gut is telling you whatever, ask all the questions as you are listening, okay? Because a lot of times we think it's our gut, but it's paranoia. A lot of time we think it's our gut, and it's just we're insecure. A lot of times we think it's our gut, but we have other issues that are resonating in the back of our mind that are stopping us from being able to focus on what's being said or focus on what this person is trying to convey to us. All right, so this is very, very, very important. Step number 4, when you are communicating with a family member, friends, co-worker, your lover, it's very important that you always stay to the point. Don't go jumping on things that happened 50 years ago that you talked about that was not resolved. Don't do it. If you've never followed a process to communicate with anyone, and this is something new that you're trying based on what I'm giving you, try this first. Try it as if you've never tried anything else before. Respect people's values when you communicate with them about what you're not comfortable with or what you feel needs to be addressed. 2, get them into their space where they're comfortable. If it's a lover, outside, after intimacy, that's what I recommend, okay? 3, communication is a 2-way street. I talk, you talk, I talk, you talk. But as we're going back and forth, we're playing tennis, It's like I hit the ball, you hit the ball, I hit the ball, you hit the ball. It's not all about you, okay? So you want to make sure that the person that you're communicating with has an understanding. You want to come, even if we don't agree, but we can still respect each other and each other's space. Because at the end of the day, you are individuals. And you want to make sure that as they are respecting your position on something, that it's going to be comfortable enough for you to exist in that space. Because if it's going to be uncomfortable for you to exist in that space, then you have to make some decisions, okay? Don't hold people hostage because they're not, living up to what you want them to do. We need to respect people's position on certain things. All right, so the bonus point that I would probably say with anything, when if you communicate something to somebody, let's say it was something they did, you were not pleased with it, and you communicated that with them, they made the correction. It's always nice to make, to observe it. Hey, I see that you took care of that, from our last conversation. I really appreciate that. I love the fact that I know that you were listening to me. It makes people feel, I don't know, it makes them feel special. Who don't like compliments? You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody loves compliments. I hope these are helpful. With the fourth one being a bonus, I hope that I was able to answer that question thoroughly. Give me some feedback for the person that sent me a message about communication, the importance of communication. And before I go, guys, remember, when you're having a discussion with people, especially on subjects that they may not feel comfortable with, you have to take them by the hand. And it almost has to be like kindergarten. You cannot just jump into it and expect to get some results. You drop a little bit of seeds here, you get some feedback, and then you know what you're working with. Then you come back, you drop a little bit more seeds there, get some feedback, run with it, work on it, come back. That goes for when especially if you're working with older people, like your family members, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma. You want to be very, very, very patient with them. And whatever subject matter you're trying to discuss with them, you need to be a master at it. And you need to be able to break it down for the elderly people, okay? If they are religious, you want to be able to break it down to them, to the, Bible verses if you have to. So it's very important that you know your stuff before you start talking, okay? When you're dealing with older people. Even if you're coming from your own personal space, your personal experience, you want to make sure that when you're dealing with elderly people, you have some facts to base what you're talking about. Whether it be finance, whether it be relationship, whether it be sexuality, especially sexuality, you want to make sure that you have your baseline on point in order for you to have that conversation with them. And you cannot have such a big conversation in one sitting. You have to do it like in pieces, little pieces, and you have to take your time with them, and you can't rush them. And do not force feed anything down their throat if they don't like it. If they have blatantly told you that they don't like something, do not force feed it down their throat. That's a lack of respect, and you will never be heard. To be heard, you have to respect people's space by still being authentic with yourself. Anyway, I rammed on enough. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, your feedback is always welcome. My name is Maya G on Instagram, Maya G the GOAT on YouTube. It's been my pleasure serving you. As always, guys, I love you and have a wonderful day. So we went over 4 points, bonuses, and some feedback. I hope those steps are helpful. If you have any questions, please go ahead and comment below. Send it to me through the DM, and let's work through it.